Odin who TV no TV when you go to na myself and na hold no TV. But somebody else subscribe like na me share do we am we be nyame ahwe. Na etifo e organ o my Ghana must say this say the baby o my Ghana ye di ensem e di e kon ano e di you ba scandal no just say eno e di ama etifo na dey brown news scandal just etifo asabetoy na so ama say the o my Ghana dey say e hu e krono na say obi epented dim obi ebeso be yi so be di so krono etifo say the $458 million scandal and etifo it member to just see ameno kese ama Dominic Ayini etifo just say o di insemu e de inhwemu o yenhwemu say enfa na skate akira aide afa ama say the mangan my dear scandal seminar aide adoso yi pa ama say the one yokura investors e wo mangan money na e be hwemu na yankwaji insemu chumni na ide emresisia aye ordinary TV.
On March 24th, 2025, I made clear that investigations into the National Service scandal were almost concluded and that I will return with a detailed update on the investigations and the decision of my office regarding criminal charges against all persons suspected to have been involved in the looting of state resources. I am here today, ladies and gentlemen, my fellow countrymen and women, to announce that I have received the dockets compiled by diligent and hardworking investigators at the National Intelligence Bureau, popularly known as NIB, formerly BNI. The dockets were compiled under close supervision by my office, led by my able Deputy Attorney General, the Honorable Dr. Justice Srimsai. Ladies and gentlemen, in or around February 2022, the management of the National Service Authority announced the introduction of a digitalization system which they claimed had saved the country some 112 million Ghana cedis. Through an app known as the Metric app, which allegedly combined facial recognition technology and identity card checks for verification and validation, the NSA, that is the National Service Authority, had blocked the enrollment of some 14,027 potential fraudsters on the scheme for the 2021-2022 service year. Despite these claims, when our current Minister of Finance, the Honorable Dr. KCL Atuforsen, ordered a head count of all National Service personnel as a precondition for the disbursement of arrears of allowances payable to the personnel dating back to August 2024, it was discovered that around 885 were ghost names. Our investigations have revealed a sprawling criminal enterprise whose network covers the entire country. This criminal enterprise was run by top-level executives of the National Service Authority and their accomplices in the private sector, known as vendors or service providers. This criminal enterprise resulted in the siphoning of huge sums of public funds into private pockets. In total, we can confirm from our evidence on the docket and from interrogations that a whopping 548,333,542 cedis and 65 pesos. That's how accurate. $150,926,977 cedis and 7 pesos were lost. No, 12 pesos was lost to the state. And then for the 2023-2024 service year, 32,881,157 and 7 pesos was lost to the Republic. In total, as I stated, we lost over 548 million Ghana cedis to the criminal enterprise perpetrated by these executives, these directors and staff as well as the service providers in the marketplace. The criminal enterprise that resulted in the loss of this colossal sum of money to the state involved the creation of ghost names within the NSA payroll system by some directors and staff, which they subsequently exploited to misappropriate state funds for their personal gain. This they did in direct collaboration with vendors and other accomplices. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, our investigations have revealed that prior to the commencement of each new service year, the directors would submit to Parliament for approval a budget figure representing the number of prospective service personnel for that particular service year. Consequently, or consistently, these figures were inflated by huge numbers. During the fiscal year, the directors will write to the Minister of Finance requesting permission to utilize excess funds allocated in the budget of the National Service Authority. Once authorized, the directors will transfer the funds into NSA's project account at the Agricultural Development Bank, and under the pretext of executing projects, will divert the funds into private pockets. Another criminal scheme hatched and exploited by the directors and staff is the deployment of ghost names onto the NSA system. Once deployed, the directors will then request that both ghost names and genuine names be transmitted by the head of accounts to the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement Systems, that is GIPS, for payment. These payments included payments to Eastwich cardholders procured for the fictitious national service personnel. Our investigations compared monthly data of verified national service personnel generated from the central management system and submitted to the NSA accounts office, and the data of the NSA personnel who were actually paid through the gift system for a period of 6 years. That is from 2018 to 2024. It was established that a total of 587,543 personnel were to be submitted to GIPS for payment of allowances. Meanwhile, data from GIPS showed that a total of 650,165 personnel were paid, indicating that 63,672 constituted ghost names. These consisted of the following categories of personnel: that is, national service personnel who were blocked on the CMS system during the registration process. Then national service personnel numbers that exist in the payment records but do not exist on the central management system. And then, of course, NSA or national service volunteers, and then some management staff and marketplace vendors. Fellow countrymen and women, our investigators additionally established that some of the ghost names were added to the list submitted by vendors, representing the number of service personnel to whom they had supplied items or provided loan facilities, allegedly. When these vendors eventually received the payments, the directors and staff would then contact the vendors whose accounts had received payments, meet with them, and collect the additional money that had been added to the vendors' payments. For instance, we have conclusively established that after collecting these funds, some of the suspects, such as Gezi, Nyako, and Othing, handed them over to suspect Osei Asibe Entry in cash, and on some occasions deposited the cash into his bank account. Osei Asibe was the chief executive, the director general of the National Service Authority. Some directors, such as Gifty Owari Mensah, created and executed a meticulously detailed plan using NSP, National Service Personnel Allowances, as security to obtain a loan of 30,698,218 cedis, 69 pesos, from the Agricultural Development Bank, ADB, at an interest rate of 23%. She achieved these results by using other people's information to register a company called Blocks of Life Consult without their knowledge or permission. Subsequently, she presented Blocks of Life Consult through a middleman in the person of Maxwell Akwesi Ofori-Mintah to an official of the Agricultural Development Bank, enlisting her husband, Mr. Peter Mensah, a lawyer, to act as one of the directors or representative of the said company. She told ADB that the company specialized in supplying home appliances to national service personnel and proposed that ADB finance the company to enable it to supply these items on hire purchase basis to the service personnel, with the NSA being responsible for handling the deductions and repayments. During the period, suspect Gifty was the acting director, Gifty Ofori-Mensah was the acting director of the authority. However, on the marketplace of the authority,